What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at it with the third preview video of the New York Giants NFL 2020 season. And my oh my, is this one a much more interesting one than what I thought it was going to be about a week ago. Listen, you know we usually start off with the injury reports, and of course I'm going to get into the injury reports just now. But my God, week 2, man. Week 2 of the 2020 season was crazy. It was crazy because we had a lot of good matchups and a lot of matchups that sort of came out of nowhere to be entertaining. But then it was just completely terrible and brought down by the fact that it seemed like every single star player in the NFL got an injury. And if it wasn't a season-ending injury, it's one that altered their careers for sure. And two teams that were most affected 100% were the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. And unfortunately, you know, because of those injuries, I will never say an injury is fortunate, but unfortunately because of that, we now have a more interesting matchup. So, you know what, as I said, let's start off with the injury reports. First, let me go over the Giants one because it's much shorter. Officially, the guys that they have on their injury report are Carter Coughlin, linebacker, and Adrian Colbert, defensive back. Both of them were in limited practice. No, Carter Coughlin was actually in full practice on Wednesday. Colbert was in limited practice on Wednesday. And of course, we know the two guys that are not here because they're on injury reserve. Saquon Barkley, who's going to miss the entire season with an ACL tear, and Sterling Shepard, who's going to be out for around 3 to 4 weeks with turf toe. Now, I will say this before I get into the 49ers injury report. You guys already know when I record these videos. It's every Thursday, and then I edit them and try to get them up for Friday. So because of that, it's actually going to kind of bite me in the butt this week, because I feel like there might be a couple of late actives, a couple of late activated players on the 49ers. Because if we go over their injury report real quick, they have Tevin Coleman, running back, D4, defensive lineman, Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback, Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, George Kittle, tight end, Raheem Mostert, running back, Jason Verrett, cornerback, and the guys that they don't have on here, Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas, both also from the defensive line, because those guys are also out the entire season. Bosa with an ACL tear as well. Here's the thing though, George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo have a slight chance to play on Sunday, more so Kittle than Jimmy, because George Kittle was in limited practice on Wednesday. Jimmy Garoppolo was not even there at practice on Wednesday. So that's something to keep in mind. And I've seen a couple articles here and there that said that George Kittle may or may not play depending on how Kyle Shanahan feels about the turf at MetLife, which has been sort of a big topic for the past week, but it's been cleared by the NFL and basically everybody. The turf should be fine. So that's really going to alter the way this game goes if George Kittle is a late active or not. And I can't really work around that. That's just how my schedule is. So, I apologize in advance for that. But on both teams, these injury reports affect us this week more so than any other week, man. Of course, with these guys gone, both sides of the ball for San Francisco is going to be heavily altered and definitely different from what we've seen not only last year, but through the first 2 weeks of the season here as well. So let's start off with the Giants offense. That's the first thing I'm going to preview here. The offense has struggled in the first 2 weeks, and if there's any chance they have to get it going, it has to be now against this banged up defense of San Fran. Last year, the team that made a Super Bowl appearance, the Super Bowl runner-up when they were at full health, their defensive rankings, they were 8th in points allowed, 2nd in yards allowed, 8th overall, the 1st overall pass defense, and 17th overall run defense. One of the best defenses in the league last year. Some people actually consider them the best defense in the league. They were certainly up there with the Bills and the Patriots. And it was a big reason they got as far as they did. San Francisco was, and kind of still is, a run-first, defense-first team. Very much old school football, and that's why they're going to miss guys like Thomas and Bosa a lot. That's why they're going to miss D4. They're definitely going to miss, their top two running backs, starter and second stringer, Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman. Their run game is going to be completely changed. I know they have Jerick McKinnon back there, who I'll get into in a second, but they're definitely going to miss these guys, man. And then through the first 2 weeks of the season so far, San Francisco has been 6th in points allowed, 6th in yards allowed, the 6th overall defense, 4th in passing, 26th in rushing. So if you notice, the one thing that stands out there is that their rushing defense is not even close to where they rank elsewhere on the defensive rankings. It's certainly a drop off going from, basically being top 5 in passing and overall to basically bottom 5 in the rushing and whatnot. And I do expect these rankings over the next couple weeks to take a little bit of a dip. We all know that pass rush definitely helps out your secondary, and pass rush has a big part to play in pass defense. Their pass rush is not going to be as dominant as it was last year, or is it not to discredit the guys that they still have there in Eric Armstead. And then the fact that San Francisco has really good depth on that defensive line with guys like DJ Jones and Javon Kinlaw. And let's not forget even else that's going to be out for the entire year. I think Richard Sherman, their #1 cornerback and certainly their best player in that secondary, he's out as well. So you know that pass defense is definitely going to take a dip. The Giants really need to take advantage of that. Daniel Jones needs to take advantage of that. Our wide receivers need to step up and take advantage of that, because this wide receiving core is already more banged up than it was last week, has not been good. They rank dead last in separation yards and drop percentage in the entire league. So while Daniel Jones struggled just a little bit in week 2, it's not his fault, yo. Like, let's keep it real. Guys like Sterling Shepard. Guys like Evan Ingram and Darius Slayton this game, they need to step up, both of them, because I don't know where Darius Slayton was, whether that was on him, DJ, or Jason Garrett. Whatever the case is, they need to step up, and so does the run game. Even without these injuries, San Francisco's run defense has been bad at 26th overall in the league, and I know we're now out of Saquon. We bring in the new guy in Devontae Freeman. He's been training. I don't really expect them to get a massive workload because he's been here for only like a day or two as of the day of this recording here. I really expect him to get maybe 10 to 15 carries at most, and I expect it to be a run by committee type approach, which actually might be beneficial, because with guys like Wayne Gallman, Dion Lewis, and Devontae Freeman, all three of them guys who could rush and receive, maybe it brings a little bit of versatility in the backfield there. Maybe we could confuse San Francisco. Don't put your money on it though. They got probably one of the best middle linebacking cores in the league with Fred Warner and Quan Alexander back there. If not the best, you're hard pressed to find one that's currently better. And both of those guys are very healthy. Both of them really good in the run game and really good in the pass game. So it's going to be kind of hard to fool them in San Francisco. So let's get to my first bold prediction of the week. Need to get, and the bold prediction is we should get 3 offensive touchdowns this game. Some of you might look at this and be like, hey, this is not really a bold prediction. Y'all said the same thing last week when my bold prediction was Danny Dimes gets 2 touchdowns and 250. He didn't even come close to getting either of those. So do remember the offense is struggling, and this 3 offensive touchdowns, if we get it, we could probably win. You know what I'm saying? Do not underestimate the defense though. That's where I'm going to leave it off for that part of the preview. Now on to our defense though, man. You know, I'm rubbing my hands together. The Giants defense has been absolutely amazing. Can we just praise the Giants defense right now? I know a lot of things are going wrong with the offense, and I kind of really forgot to mention the offensive line and their their rushing attack, the run blocking for the offensive line. But it was kind of implied, you know, when I mentioned they need to be better in the run game. You guys already know that. I don't really want to get into that too much at this part. The defense has been stunning, bro. They are exceeding everybody's expectations, including my own. I don't think anybody predicted that they would be this good. A defense that's considered by some sides top 5, others top 10, top 15. Whatever the case is, they're performing as though they're a year ahead in terms of schedule of where they should be. Like, this defense right now should be in the 15 to 20 range, but they're currently in the 5 to 15 range. It's absolutely amazing. Like, if we talk about the improvement from last year to this year, last year they were 30th in points allowed, 25th in yards allowed, the 30th overall defense, 28th in pass defense, 20th in run defense. You want to know what we are through the first 2 weeks of this year? We are 11th in points allowed, 4th in yards allowed, 11th overall defense, the second best pass defense in the entire NFL. Unfortunately, 24th in the rushing defense. So kind of like San Francisco, actually. This defense, a lot of parallels here to San Francisco for this defense. Amazing, and it seems everything but the rushing defense. But what I will say about the Giants rushing defense is that it's definitely better than that 24th overall may imply. I think we're actually probably an average run defense, maybe right around 16, 17. The reason it's currently at 24th is because they kind of just give up yards in the fourth quarter. They hold these running backs down for like 99% of the game, but they never do it for 100% of the time, which is bad, and they definitely need to clamp down on that this game with a Jerick McKinnon. We struggle to stop Benny Snell in week 1 in like the third and fourth quarter after we held down James Conner in the entire first half. We struggled to stop David Montgomery in the last 5 minutes of that Bears game. He was looking terrible in the run game against the Giants. And our defensive line, you know, those big guys up front and the linebackers were holding it down until that last Bears drive where the dude, you know, at one point it was first and 25. He got a 23-yard rush. I don't know what the plan there was. You know, maybe some blame goes on Patrick Graham. Maybe some blame goes on the players. Maybe some blame goes on Joe Judge. He's like, dude, bend not break. Whatever the case is, you can't do that with Jerick McKinnon. He's the third string running back for the 49ers. Let me repeat this. He's the third string running back for the 49ers. A team that is run heavy, no doubt, and a team I completely expect Kyle Shanahan, he's a really smart coach. He's definitely going to be running this ball a lot on us, and he's definitely going to be running a lot of play action because the Giants struggled against play action last week, actually, against Chicago. We bit a lot on Mr. Trubisky's play action for some reason, even though we were holding down the run for most of the game. But once again, this is Jerick McKinnon. Before the 2020 season, he didn't even see the field. He didn't even see the field before 2017. It's been essentially 3 years since he was on the field, and you know what I will say, against the Jets defense, he did carve them up. 3 rushes for 77 yards. That's actually kind of beast-like. But now he's gonna be the only option that San Francisco has, the only real option that is. And yo, if we don't step up in the Russian defense, we're gonna be killed. Kind of like last week, it was for the Giants, it was just rushing both sides. I said last week, if we didn't step up in the rushing offense, we'd be killed, and if we didn't step up in the rushing defense, we'd be killed. Same thing here. Kind of harking back a little bit to the offensive side, which I previewed. If we don't get at least 50 rushing yards on the ground, because the Giants have not got 100 rushing yards on the season yet, and our leading rusher on the season is Daniel Jones. If we do not get 50 rushing yards on the ground, we're gonna lose. And if we do not prevent Jerick McKinnon, you know what I'm saying, if he gets more than 100 rushing yards on the ground, we're gonna lose, because that means then the play action becomes effective and whatnot. We gotta stop it. To kind of go back to talk about this defense a little bit and how good we've been though, which is why I'm confident we're gonna stop it. Shout out to Patrick Graham, man. Patrick Graham been real good. Patrick Graham, he's the reason this defense is the way it is right now. You got guys like Lorenzo Carter, who certainly looks a lot, more improved this year than before, saying that the defense is simply a very simple defense to pick up on. It's a lot easier to learn, and it's just a defense where everybody needs to do their one job and we succeed, and that's what's been happening. And shout out to the 2 big name free agents we got. James Bradbury, the best cornerback in the league right now. I don't want to hear it. He is the best cornerback in the league right now. You know why? He was rated as the best defensive player, period, in week 2. The dude had a monster game against the Chicago Bears and absolutely locked down Allen Robinson. I've been gushing about it all week, and I'm going to continue to gush on it. This dude is worth every single penny, man. He's worth every single penalty. He was all over the field, not just on that one beautiful interception. That was like, it didn't even look like an interception, but he finished with a 93.1 coverage grade on 33 snaps. There was 6 targets his way. He only allowed 1 catch for 14 yards, intercepted 1, breaking up another 3. One of those breakups ended up being a tip, that ended up it being a pick for Julian Love. And shout out to the Giants secondary on that play, by the way. The tip drill seemed to work a lot. And I expect that to translate into week 3, because let's keep it real. Who in the world is the 49ers receiving threat right now? They ain't got Debo. He's been missing since before the season began. What we expect him to struggle against a Dante Pettis? Against a Kendrick Bourne? A Mohamed Sanu who was cut from the Patriots because he couldn't even run routes? That's who we're going to expect James Bradbury to struggle against? And this is such a big favor for us. You know what I'm saying? We're already second in pass defense, so we were going to do good against them anyway, even if Debo was there. But they ain't got no receiving threat. Not only James Bradbury, but this secondary should do really good this week. Blake Martinez as well, who was amazing last week, even got a sack. Shout out to him. This dude is going to do well this week as well. Now, this is where the injury reports come in, and I'm going to talk about, what I said earlier. There may be some last-minute actives, and the only last-minute active I'm worried about, truly, is George Kittle. If George Kittle steps into this game, it does change it a bit, because, Jabril Peppers hasn't been playing up to what I expected him to. He hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been great either. You know, he's been kind of average. Hasn't really been taking the best angles when it comes to tackling some of these dudes. And either way, even if it was playing up to his, you know, the best version of Jabril Peppers, I don't think that's a match for, you know, George Kittle. Blake Martinez might struggle a little bit because he's been good so far in coverage. He's been stellar in tackling as usual, you know, in the run game as usual. But George Kittle's the best tight end in the league. If he's a late game active, it definitely changes things, and it definitely is in the 49ers' favor. Now that brings me to my second bold prediction of the video. Defensive one. I think the defense is going to have a day, in case you haven't noticed me gushing about them so far. I think we're going to have 2 picks and 3 sacks. Not sure, and I'm not going to predict where the sacks or picks come from, but I think that's what we're going to have. I definitely believe we could get pressure on Nick Mullins. The 49ers offensive line is a good one, but they're probably going to, even though I expect them to rush a lot, they're definitely going to be dropping back to pass a good amount as well. And Nick Mullins is not as mobile as Jimmy G. And I do think with just how good the Giants defense has been, we are currently tied 5th in the league for sacks and ranked 6th in sack percentage. I really have faith in this pass rush now, you know what I'm saying? And I do think we could get pressure and get some hits on Nick Mullins. So to move on to the closing thoughts, it is going to be a very defensive game, more so than an offensive one in my opinion, because currently both of these defenses are better than where the offenses stand. Even though the 49ers defense is banged up, they're still a really good one. For the Giants, the run game needs to be at least average. I'm begging them to please get more than 50 rushing yards on the ground. The pass game needs to continue to be what it was, but this time result in some touchdowns, result in some scoring. And the defense needs to continue the dominance it's shown from the beginning of the year. The rush defense needs to slow down Jerick McKinnon, and then the Giants have a real good chance of winning. But that doesn't mean I'm predicting them to win as much as I want to. I mean, this is still a really good 49ers team. Yo, listen, I'm going to be jumping for joy when the Giants win their first game. Hopefully it is this one, but I'm still gonna go with the 49ers for now, 24-21. You guys might be a little ticked off about that, but let me know what you think. That's my preview, and I'm out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.